Andrew Rosenberg law. Clear plans, peace of mind. Andrew Rosenberg law. Plan it right, protect it all. Andrew Rosenberg law. Guiding you when life gets hard. Andrew Rosenberg law. Peace of mind, secure your future. Andrew Rosenberg law. If you don't plan, you're stupid.
Welcome back to If You Don't Plan, You're Stupid, with Florida estate planning attorney Andrew Rosenberg. Andy helps South Florida families protect what matters most, avoid legal headaches, and put plans in place that work when life takes an unexpected turn. I'm LeAnn Lyon, and today we are talking about the peace of mind that comes from knowing you and your family are prepared. Hi, Andy.
Hey, LeAnn, happy Friday. How are you?
So good to see you again. I'm well, thank you. So, Andy, how can having an estate plan reduce the stress and uncertainty people often carry about the future?
Well, think about it for a minute, LeAnn. I mean, if you don't have things in place, there's a lot of anxiety and there's a lot of ambiguity going on if something were to happen. And so, you know, if you create a plan, then hopefully it's not gonna be ambiguous anymore, and you're gonna have what you want done in writing so that everything can be taken care of when, God forbid, things S hits the fan, however to say, however you want to say it, something hits the fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest concerns or how to reduce the stress of this whole thing is that you create a roadmap. And that's kind of what estate planning is. We're trying to create the roadmap for when things go wrong. And so if you have a roadmap, usually you know where you're going, and it's not, there's no huge surprises. But if you don't have a roadmap or you don't have a plan and you're going on a vacation somewhere and there's no plans, you never know what's going to happen. And that's kind of how you got to think about estate planning. You got to think, if you think of it as a trip, are you going to be organized for the trip, or are you going to just wing it? And that's estate planning.
So, what I hear you saying is that having your legal affairs in order helps you focus on living your life instead of worrying about what if. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, listen, things happen in life. All right, LeAnn. I mean, listen, no one wants to have bad things happen to us, but we're not going to live forever. And unfortunately, people don't like to think about that. People don't like to think about mortality. And when I do a lot of workshops. I talk to a lot of people that I don't know in the workshops, etc. And one of the slides that I have in there talks about, there's an article. So I'm going to go off on a tangent because that's what I always do in these things. So there was when my son Jason and I were visiting Duke. He got into Duke Law School, and so we are at Durham, North Carolina, and we're at the hotel, and we're looking to see if he likes the law school to go there. He did, which was great. So this is a couple years ago. But when how you stay at a hotel room, LeAnn, and then like the next morning there's like a newspaper on the floor.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a newspaper on the floor. It was a USA Today, so of course I took it out and I read through it. And believe it or not, there was an article on estate planning, and I actually have it now in my workshop, and it said that estate planning that it said it's something effect that estate planning is dropping, is declining in use, meaning less and less people are doing estate planning. And I've been doing this for 30 plus years, LeAnn. And if you take a graph, how you have a graph going straight up or you have a graph going straight down, right?
Yeah.
Estate planning is going straight down. And this has been going on for my 30 plus years. And so I thought it was interesting enough to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to put that in my workshop and I'm going to show you, hey, look, this is what people are doing. And I actually asked the question in my workshops, and it's kind of crazy, man. I'm going to ask you this question. Let's say we got 100 people, so it's an easy number. Okay. So if we asked 100 people that are at the workshop, how many of you have an estate plan in place? What percentage do you think are going to raise their hand saying, yes, I have it in place versus not? I want to see what you think it would be.
Are you serving steak or no?
We have lunch usually or a light dinner,
Okay.
like Subway sandwiches and cookies and desserts and Coke and all that kind of stuff.
Okay. Then I'm going to say 10.
10%?
Yeah.
10% are those are the people that have an estate plan?
Yeah.
That's about right. That's scary though?
It is.
When
It is
isn't
amazing.
that nuts?
Yeah. So why? Why is that?
Well, so then that's my next question. I say, listen, guys, I just asked you that question, and only about 10 to 15% of you raised your hand saying you have an estate plan in place. So why do you think people are not doing estate planning? I'm going to ask you, why do you think people are not doing estate planning? In your opinion, there's no right or wrong answer.
I think if people think it's complicated, or they think, they hear words like funding and then they're thinking, well, I'm going to want to move again. But those are all the reasons to do estate planning, in my opinion. But I know more than the average.
So one of the things I hear is cost. They're like, it's going to be a lot of money.
Sure. Yeah.
So I hear that excuse. Okay. Another excuse I hear is that I don't need to do an estate plan. There's no need for me to do an estate plan. And so I have to debunk that myth because that is ridiculous.
Mhm.
Another estate plan I hear, or another reason why we don't do estate planning, and this is the reason why I think people don't do estate planning personally, is that they procrastinate. I think that's the number one reason, and they always say, "I'll put it off till tomorrow,"
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So I'll deal with it tomorrow. Well, guess what? A lot of us don't have tomorrows. And I'm a perfect example of that. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. And I'll give you another story. And this is literally, I used to do this in my workshops as well. I don't have the voice memo anymore. But my landscaper who did my yard for years and years and years, called me out of the blue a couple years ago. And he left a message saying, "Hey, Andy, this is so and so, your landscaper," and I knew who it was. And he left a message saying, "Hey, listen, I know I saw on Instagram and LinkedIn and all that you do estate planning and wills and trusts and all that stuff. I think I need to sit down and talk to you to schedule things out." So he left a message. So I returned the call that night, left a message back, didn't hear. So I called back the following day. And I left a message and then I didn't hear back. So I called back the following day after that, and his wife picked up. And she didn't know who I was. And I said, I'm a client of his. And he called me because I'm an estate attorney and he wanted to do estate planning. And so I was trying to schedule the meeting. She started crying on the phone. I said, "What's going on?" She says, "He dropped dead of a heart attack 2 days ago." So literally, LeAnn, he
Wow.
called me, and probably within the next couple hours after that, he dropped dead.
Wow.
So he's a perfect example of someone, when I tell people, you may not have a tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And people don't understand that. And what's scary is that I have so many I can't tell you how many times it's more than 20 times, 30 times in my life as an attorney that I've gotten calls from someone on their deathbed, the family member saying, "My mom's in the hospital. She's not doing well. And she just informed me she doesn't have anything in place and she needs to get things done."
Yep.
And so here we are, someone that never planned, didn't think they needed to, right? Procrastinator, didn't want to pay the money or whatever. So now they're going to pay twice as much because now I'm going to have to prepare everything like that, drop everything, put everything to the side, push everything to the side. And now they're the top priority. I got to get it done. Then I got to bring myself and witnesses and a notary to the hospital, which is going to cost more money to get all this stuff done. And that's what happens. And I don't, it frustrates me as the attorney. And I tell these stories in the workshops and I give real life examples of situation. I'm going to talk about me in a little bit, but I mean, this is what happens and this is life. And so I think if you ask me when I do that, raise your hand, how many have you done an estate plan in a workshop? And you said 10%. It's about 10 to 15 is pretty much the number. You hit it right on the head, LeAnn. But it's shocking to me that many people don't deal with it.
Yeah, I think it's very true though. And the old adage of if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. The problem is you're not failing yourself so much as you're failing your loved ones because you're not going to be here to suffer through what's not in place when you're no longer here. They are. They're the ones that are going to really suffer from that.
That is so true. That is so true. So I always tell people, I said, listen, this is not for you. This is for your family. I go, you're gone. You're not going to know. It's your family's going to have to deal with the aftermath of whether you created a plan or you didn't create a plan, whether you had that roadmap or you didn't have the roadmap, right?
Yeah. Can
They're
you
the ones that suffer.
Can you share a story about someone whose outlook changed after finally putting that estate plan in place?
Yes, I can. I got a couple, but I'm going to use one in particular. Okay. I've told this story in the past, but I'm going to tell it again. So there's someone that is an active person and had a heart attack, and
Mm.
they're in the emergency room, right? And they're in the emergency room and they're dealing with the heart attack, and the wife and the kids come, and all those people are there, and everyone's panicked. Everyone is crazy. I mean, you know, it's the husband, it's the father, it's this that, and the husband is calm. And the reason the husband was calm is he looked at his wife and he told her, he said, listen, if it's my time, it's my time. I don't want to go,
Yeah.
but if it's my time, it is my time. And this is me, by the way. This is me. I am that person. I'm the one that had the heart attack. Okay. And I'm in the hospital and I am having a massive heart attack during this time period. Okay. And I looked at my wife, Debbie, and I said, honey, I go, I don't want to go, but I said, everything's in place. I said, I said, the trusts, the wills, the life insurance, where everything is, the usernames and passwords, where all the legal documents are, everything is organized for you. And I said, you're going to be fine if something happens. And she looked at me and she said, listen, I'm not ready for you to go. She goes, we got young kids. I don't want that. I'm not ready. I don't want to be a single parent. And I survived. So the point is that that's a situation where someone planned, right? I had it organized. Everything was in place. It's not that I wanted to have something happen to me, but it did. Okay. And so I had it organized. Now, let me give you a scenario of someone that didn't have it organized. That landscaper that we just talked about, he didn't have it organized. What happened to his situation? Well, his situation, he had a young kid and a wife, and they had nothing in place, and they had to go through probate and all the hassles and all the messes and everything else involved with it. Plus, they didn't have enough insurance in place. They didn't have this in place, that in place. It was a nightmare. And that's what happened. So those are two extremes. And I can't tell you how many times that I've had situations where that has come into play. And there's so many times where if you ask my staff, how many times have you had to go to the hospital in a last minute situation to deal with people? And they say a lot. They'll say a lot. And unfortunately, that's just the situation it is. And this is the problem in America. Now, let me ask you a question, LeAnn. When do you think the estate planning was going up instead of going down for the past 30 years? When do you think it was going up? People were doing it.
I don't know. After 9/11?
Think about it, after COVID, okay? Because what do we all do during COVID? During the process, when COVID hit, and then we're all stuck in the house, right? Although I got voted off the island, they made me go to the office because I was too loud in the house. My kids and wife said, "You're out of here, Dad." So I drove every day to the office and worked with no one there. But during that whole process, what were you all doing? Well, I was doing it as you were doing it. We were all watching the TV.
Mm-hmm.
And what'd you see on the TV? The death toll
Mm-hmm.
just rise and rise. Every day we kept seeing it, and then it hit over 1 million, and then it kept going and going and going. And we're like, all of a sudden, everyone realized, oh my God, this could be any one of us.
Yeah.
And then they said, holy cow, we don't have anything in place. I need to do something. That was the only time in my 30 plus years of practicing law
Hmm.
that estate planning went crazy busy. And it was the worst time for me because how in the world am I going to have to deal with doing this estate planning when I can't meet with the people half the time because of the COVID issue? So it was a horrible situation. We were the busiest as we could ever be. And I would have to go out into a parking lot with a mask on and sign documents with the clients in the car. And the witnesses were at the window watching, my staff watching. And then I'd go in and then they'd see us sign it in the window in the lobby. It was a disaster, but we got it done. But guess what? We're now 5, 6 years or more past COVID. Guess where we're at with estate planning? Back down again.
So, just quickly before we wrap up today's episode, how does planning ahead help adult children feel more confident when they're caring for an aging parent?
You know, the best way I can say that is with an example, if that's okay.
Sure.
So I've lost both. I don't. Do you still have your parents, LeAnn?
I do. I'm blessed.
Okay. Okay. So I've lost both, and my dad was the last to go. My dad was a stubborn doctor. Okay, he was a stubborn. He was a pediatrician, very stubborn old man. He lived to 92. But when mom passed, and he lived up in Indiana, where I'm from. When mom passed, I had one sister up there. I'm in Florida. My other sister's in Georgia. And my dad never talked to us about estate planning. We never dealt with it. So as the attorney, I took it upon me to really push my dad and say, Dad, we need to have family discussions. So we all flew in and we talked, and he didn't want to talk about it. He did not want to talk about planning for him. One, he was afraid to die. That was number one. Number two, he it wasn't organized. And so over a period of 6 months to a year, we broke him down basically. And he finally opened up and realized, you know what? They're trying to help. And so we were able to sit down with my dad. We were able to talk about what he wanted done because we didn't care. The three siblings were like, whatever you want to do. And my dad said, this is what I want to do. And then we talked about what he had. He was really a private guy. He didn't want to talk about the assets. He finally opened up about it. It took time. So you have family members. It may take time before you can get to that point, like it did with my family. But we eventually got to that point, and finally we said, Dad, we need to make sure things are put in place so that it goes the way you want it to go. And it was set up that way. I couldn't do it. I'm not licensed in Indiana. We had an attorney draft everything for him. And then, I mean, it was as crazy, LeAnn, as they had tons of artwork, and he wanted us to go through the artwork with him so that we could say he wanted to give this piece to one niece or one grandkid versus a different grandkid. So we wanted to make sure he knew how he wanted things done. When we got all that done and that whole process done, he actually looked at me. He's never done this before. He actually looked at me. He said, Andy, I want to just thank you for taking this and taking care of this. He goes, it's taken a lot of burden off of me. And I says, I can now know that everything's in place and I'm not going to worry. So all I can say, LeAnn, is that if you have parents and things like that, you need to be, you as the kids, if the parents haven't talked to you about it, you really should be aggressive in a tactful way and talk to them about it. And they don't, and it may take a long time because they're very guarded. The generation my dad was, they were very private people. We're more open now. I think our generation and the lower generations. So it's just something that you need to think about and talk about so that you don't get stuck and the dad in the hospital, and dad doesn't have anything in place, and we have no idea what's going to happen, and then something happens, and we have no idea what's going to happen with the assets. It's better to break them down and to talk about it. Did that answer your question?
It really did. And, and that's exactly the point. Estate planning does make things better for, those that come after you, but they also really are, it is all about you. When I've set up my estate plan, I know exactly what was going to happen, where things were going to go. My wishes would be carried out beyond the grave if necessary, which thankfully it has not been. But just, yeah, knowing that it was about me and continuing to control what I built, but it was also about our children and
Yeah.
what they would receive out of it.
Let me ask you one quick question before we go. I know we got to end this. My question is, when you did your own estate plan and you got done with it, how did you feel?
Oh, so much better. I mean, and our children were really young at the time, but we were flying all over the place. We were doing all sorts of things. My husband is a pilot, so the fear was real. We could be in an airplane crash, you know? And
Any regret? Any regret?
oh, none. Absolutely none.
Yeah.
And do we need to update it now that our children are adults? Oh, yeah.
Right,
But,
of course.
knowing what we know and how to do it, it's not hard to do. It's actually quite simple. And it does give you such peace of mind. Things are going to change. Plans are great plans, but like most things, they need to get updated periodically. And that's
Yes, they do.
okay. But having a plan for today is miles better than not having a plan at all.
Exactly. It's that peace of mind. And that's all I'm trying to point out, is that I know people don't want to deal with this stuff, but it does give you peace of mind.
Absolutely. Well, thank you to our audience for listening to If You Don't Plan, You're Stupid.
Yeah.
If you're ready to put a plan in place that protects your family and your future, visit rosenberglawfirm.net to get started. And remember to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who could benefit from today's conversation. Thank you, Andy.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.
If you don't